Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Susan Berishaj, and I'm an admissions consultant from Sia Admissions. I know you're all excited today to learn about the Masters in Finance roadmap. So why don't we just get started right now? I have a presentation that I'm going to share, so just give me a moment to share my screen. Alrighty. So with the advent of data and predictive analytics, the finance sector has become increasingly more competitive, not only as it relates to moving up the ranks within the financial sector or financial institutions, but also at getting that first break at a top-ranked institution or top-ranked firm, whether that's in Asia or in Europe or in the United States or in Canada, wherever it is that you're targeting to work in finance. And finance requires a relentless drive, first as it pertains to preparing yourself to become competitive in a very data-driven environment, and then understanding the nuances of what makes finance so interesting and a force that really drives our global economy. This is essentially a very lucrative sector. A lot of people want to work in. So it is, of course, going to be a very competitive environment. Now, a way to prepare yourself to be competitive in this landscape, in the finance landscape, is to obtain the best education at a top-ranked institution. Now, having worked myself at a private equity and a hedge fund organization in New York City, I can speak firsthand that having an education or having graduating from a top-ranked institution is really it really matters in helping you and helping open doors for those really competitive jobs that you may be looking for. However, the finance, just like finance, gaining admission to a master's in finance program at a top-ranked institution is, of course, also very challenging. And we're talking here at 10% admission rates, which means that 90 people out of 100 are not gaining admission to these top-ranked institutions. Now, given that these programs have a very strong STEM-focused curriculum and attract a high percentage of STEM undergraduate backgrounds, your strong grades in undergraduate and your GMAT or GRE, strong GMAT or GRE scores are essentially going to be table stakes. Now, in front of you on the screen, you should see the MIT Sloan's class Masters in Finance class profile, and you will see that there's an average. The class average has a 3.82 GPA out of 4.0 scale, and 64% of the class is comprised of STEM undergraduate backgrounds. Now, with the increased need for understanding complex data and predictive analytics, finance really needs individuals with a strong quant background. And obviously a master's in finance is a great way to help you prepare for that career in this sector. The top-ranked institution, as a result, become also the gatekeepers for those very lucrative finance roles. And you really need to stand out in your applications to become competitive and stand out in your in a pool of really high achievers. Now, at this point, I'm sure you're wondering, with 10% admission rates and everyone essentially having really high performance, academic performance, how do I differentiate? How do I stand out in this pool of candidates? Now, you can be a child prodigy, or you can, really showcase your strong qualitative presentation of what you bring to the table, what really makes you a unique candidate that they should consider for admission. Now, the institutions really want not only, of course, high performers who can succeed in a strong STEM-focused curriculum. They also want individuals who are passionate about finance, who are strong communicators, who can influence others. They are team players who can build strong relationships, and someone who has a drive to make an impact in the world of finance. And above all, they want a compelling story. Now, essentially, a lot of what I just said is very subjective. It can mean many different things to many different people, and it can be related to many different areas in your professional development thus far. I mean, what does it really mean to have a compelling story? Now, universities share some information on their website, but it's very, again, broad and vague. And it, of course, makes it really challenging to determine how you present your story to the admission committee to make yourself a compelling candidate. Now, it's important to remember sort of the other side, or to understand the other side of the table. They are not including information on their website because they want to be mysterious, but because they want to attract diversity. And institutions fear that the moment they are very specific, outside of the metrics, of course, about what they're looking for in a candidate, the institution loses the diversity, loses the opportunity to attract a diversity of perspectives, diversity of experiences, and because everyone essentially is going to want to fit that box that the institution has presented. However, I also understand your perspective. The vagueness or the very broad approach to presenting what the institution is looking for makes applicants like yourself confused as to how to best prepare yourself to showcase a competitive candidacy. After all, you don't really have a lot of years of experience knowing how to present yourself, how to market yourself to these institutions. And being that you haven't attended the institution that you're targeting, you may not necessarily know exactly what kind of candidates they are accepting. Now, yes, of course, the stakes are high. Not being competitive in your application leads you to miss out on potentially strong opportunities to gain admission to your dream school. It is also important to remember that if the top-ranked institutions are gatekeepers for those lucrative jobs in finance, that means that the graduates of a sort of second-tier institution, finance institute or business school or finance institution will have a more competitive job market once they graduate. And we're talking about a more competitive job placement in an already extremely competitive environment. And essentially, you know, the more lucrative jobs are often filled by graduates of these top-ranked programs. So admission to these top-ranked programs is not just about attending a great institution. It's really about preparing yourself to succeed in a career that you are dreaming to have. Now, I also understand your perspective and frustration with not knowing exactly how to present yourself to the admission teams. I am personally a graduate of NYU and Yale, and before my admission to these institutions, I was sitting where you are, trying to figure it all out. Now, since I have also helped other individuals navigate the admissions process, and 90% of my clients who follow my process have been placed at top 20 business schools. And every client I work with initially feels this frustration of overwhelming not understanding of how to navigate the admissions process. And my goal today is to help you or to help lessen that anxiety by giving you some tips on how to present yourself, how to present your qualitative components in your applications to these institutions. So my first item on the list, you need to identify your goals. I like to start with the end in mind and then reverse engineering your career plans. So always start with the long-term goals. So identify specifically in a piece of paper outside of the application, what is your long-term goal? What kind of job do you envision having in your wildest dreams? Like, just be bold and be, very specific about the type of job that you want to have, as well as the type of company you want to work for. Now, when it comes to reverse engineering, you then need to say, okay, what are the steps that I need to take to get there? Obviously, one of your immediate steps is to apply to a master's in finance program of your choosing. So that's one component, and you need to, of course, identify which schools you're applying to and what opportunities each one of those target institutions offers you, so that you can get to that dream job again in the future, long term. You also need to identify specifically your post-master's in finance job. I want you to think about, again, in the best case scenario, what job are you going to have immediately post your master's in finance, and even go so far as to say which company you are going to work for. That's how specific I want you to be. And the reason why you want to be as specific as you can is the institution wants to know that you have thought about this. You haven't just woken up, this morning and said, okay, I want to apply to a master's in finance program. Really show them that you put thought into this. And the way you show them how you have put thought into this is by using very visual language to present your envisioned future, your dream career, and how you are going to get there, essentially. Perfect. Now, I want to tell you exactly what I also mean by visual language in the show, don't tell category. It's something that I've been taught from undergraduate is, be as specific, be as visual as you can be. And here's what I mean by that. I often get first round edits or first round drafts of materials from clients, and their language looks something like this. They say, I look to leverage the FinTech club to prepare for projects and interviews. That is typically, what the types of material that I typically get. But while it is identifying exactly what you're going to use, what opportunities you're going to use at the target institution, it doesn't really give the admission committee an idea that you have imagined your life even as a student at their institution. So here's a sort of like a revised version of that example of how you show, don't tell. So in the FinTech Club, I plan to strengthen our collective knowledge gaps through speaker and conference event organization. Here you can be even as specific as saying, of course, depending on your word limitations, you can be as specific as saying, I want to organize events that mimic something they have done in the past. But that, of course, requires you to do some research. So do go into as many details as you possibly can. Furthermore, I will take advantage of the entrepreneurial ecosystem at MIT Sloan to further understand the complexity finance plays in entrepreneurship. Finally, during interview periods, we will organize practice sessions and debrief meetings to gain insight and solicit feedback from peers to strengthen our interview skills, which will help each of us secure a job. What this type of presentation of visualizing your future at the institution is also tell them that you're not someone who is just looking to take from the institution. Of course, you are looking to take in the sense that you're going there to learn and to strengthen and develop yourself professionally, but you're also there to give and to build a collective experience for everyone that's involved. Here you see that you are looking to learn collectively as part of the club. And that's another layer that you can add to your applications, is by really showcasing how you're going to leverage the opportunities that the institution offers. It is also very important to show the institution how you are prepared for these goals. So again, everything that you do, everything that you present in your application is in relation to your goals, where you want to go. Every institution you are applying to, regardless of where it is, it's going to want to know that you are prepared for the rigor of that institution, of the program that they have put in place. So my recommendation to you is that in a Word document or blank piece of paper or Evernote or OneNote or whatever type of platform you use, separate from the application. So it really needs to be clean, uncluttered, with no other information in there. I want you to prepare a list of experiences you've had since university. And try to move away from any experiences that you've had in high school, because one, it's been a while since you've been in high school, and two, the institution is going to worry that you are really prepared in high school, but you haven't done anything in college. So really focus more on the experiences that you've had in university life. Of course, there are nuances where you can bring your high school experience if it relates to, having an introduction to finance, or how this journey started for you. So there's obviously exceptions to that rule, but try and stick with experiences that you've had while you were in university. You really want to prepare a list to really demonstrate the institution that you are committed to a career in finance, and you have a really strong quantitative aptitude. And the way you show that you have a commitment to a career in finance is obviously talking about courses that have helped you understand finance in nuanced ways. Perhaps you have worked on projects that are finance specific. You perhaps are really keen on being in finance and already started studying for the CFA. Mention that element in there. Perhaps you've had an internship with a financial institution and you can speak about that experience. But I also want you to think about your quantitative experiences, and sometimes they can be in finance, but sometimes they can be outside of finance. So if you are in computer science, or you have a background in computer science, you can speak to experiences that you've had working with large data and really leveraging data to make decisions, because essentially that's what you are going to be expected to do. Perfect. Now, the third thing that I want you to do is I want you to identify your leadership and collaborative experiences, regardless of if they are in finance or not, but obviously more finance-related experiences are better for the application. And institutions are, again, really want engaged individuals, not only individuals that come in to the classroom, study, and leave. They want individuals that can work with other people. As a leader, you are expected to work with other people. As I mentioned earlier, these institutions want individuals who can communicate well with others. And by communicating well, you need to be able to influence others to do essentially what if you're leading a project, for example, you need to be able to communicate that to them. So spend some time identifying leadership and collaborative experiences that you've had up till this point. They can be related to, a project that you worked on in a class, It could be related to your community involvement. So if your institution has a finance club, or if they have some sort of center that is related to finance, or an application of finance to another sector, really identify that specific experience. Again, internships, opportunities that allowed you to identify a problem and take steps towards finding a solution. Obviously, the more successes you've had, the better your application is going to be. So clearly identifying your dreams about your finance career, your experiences that showcase your readiness to embark on this journey with a master's in finance is absolutely essential. They're all intertwined and interrelated into showcasing a qualitative candidacy that is competitive for these top-ranked institutions. Now, while you don't want to confuse the admission committee with including so many different examples in each of your essays, you do need to have at least one example for each of your essays that you are writing and compiling to show them that you are ready. And don't use the same examples. Try to differentiate, and the more you can provide different types of examples, the more complex your character is presented to these institutions. Now, if you want to dive deeper into into having a conversation with me about your goals and what you want to achieve, I encourage you to reach out for a complimentary consultation. I really want to get to know you and your goals and what you want to do. In the chat box, you will see this link that you can click on and fill out a very short form for us to schedule a call. Perfect. My goal is for individuals to be really excited about this next step in the process of their career preparation, and I want them to be excited about the admission prospects. Yes, I know it's challenging, and yes, I know it requires a lot of work and a lot of time, and those are all just part for the course. But just think about this. When you get that response from the target institution that you have applied to, whether that's MIT Sloan or Macomb or Judge or Olin, or whatever institution that you are targeting as your master's in finance institution, and you receive that email from them, imagine getting that letter that reads, "Susan, we are delighted to inform you that you have been admitted to our university." That is what all of this work is all about. And a way to really prepare yourself to be competitive if your career is focused in finance is to obtain the best education from a top-ranked institution. Having worked at a finance institution, as I said myself, I really know firsthand that the brand does matter as much as I would like to say otherwise. Brand matters in finance. So I want you to take a minute to reach out for you and I to have a conversation about your goals and about your career in finance. So take a moment and click on this link. I'm going to drink some water, and then we're going to move to answering some questions. So hopefully you've written some questions in the chat box. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can actually see the questions. All right, I see quite a few questions. All right, so I have there's a question on the screen from, I'm just not going to say the names because I don't want to botch it. So is any previous work experience required to work in finance or even get in a good or even get in good schools. So a lot of the Masters in Finance experiences or Masters in Finance programs have an average class work experience of about 10, 11 months. It can go to 14. So you have like about a year of experience, but that's once you matriculate. So that means by the time that you are actually that you go into the program, by the time that you are applying, you may have a couple of months of experience, but the calculation happens as of the time you matriculate, which means that, if you're applying in January, your work experience is going to be from January until September when the program starts. So it doesn't require a lot of work experience. So that's why you're going to rely a lot on your experience in your undergraduate career to really show them that you are ready to be competitive. As it comes to finance itself, you obviously want to have internships as much as you can and gain some experience, but you don't necessarily need to have a lot of experience. Depending on the job that you're looking to get, of course, they also have different training programs that are part of sort of a new classroom coming into the finance world. So not a lot of experience is required. For that reason, of course, getting trained from a top-ranked institution is going to be a key differentiator in being competitive for those jobs when they're available. Great. Next question. Does having BBA in banking and insurance works for STEM background requirements? So it depends on what courses you are taking. It depends on the institution, of course. So we would have to dive a little bit deeper into that. But essentially, you want to showcase your finance background. Your STEM is really science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So much as you can show that in your background and in your experiences, then you should be okay to apply. Next question. Do top schools consider applicants from medium-ranked schools if GPA and GMAT are competitive, or how much value is given to the undergraduate school of the applicant? That is a great question. Institutions that are highly, highly rigorous are going to, of course, or programs that are highly rigorous and highly sort of like STEM focused are going to put weight into the institution that you are applying to. However, if you can show other components that, aside from, obviously you have to have a really strong GPA and a really strong GMAT, if those are competitive, then there is essentially evidence to show them that you are going to succeed in that program. So essentially they want to know that you are able to be successful in the program, complete it on time and go through the curriculum and not feel entirely miserable going through the Masters in Finance program. Awesome. Next question. Hi, Susan. Is there any age limit for admission in MFin? There is no age limit that I'm aware of. However, there are some programs that are focused more in, the immediate, those individuals that have just finished their undergraduate degree, whereas there are some other Masters in Finance programs that, whose average class is 7 years of work experience, 8 years of work experience. So you have all sorts of different types of programs. So I would say just go into some, research and understand exactly based on your age where you fit in the category. Of course, the institutions are not going to say don't apply, but the closer you can be to the class average, the more they're going to be receptive of you of getting admitted to that program, because you don't want to be an outlier, right? As much as you can. So I have already completed MBA in finance. Can I still apply for a master's in finance? If yes, how can I justify the admission committee and help in getting a your help is greatly appreciated. Okay, great. So you already have a master's MBA in finance. So you do have to essentially say, why do you need a master's in finance? So you already have an MBA in finance. Why do you need a master's in finance as well? And you're going to have to give a reason why. So if you're focusing on a master's in finance to gain more quantitative background or understand finance deeper, it just really needs to be a solid, thought out plan. I don't know your entire case specifically, so I would say, you want to reach out and we can have a conversation and get to know you and your story and see how, how you can present your case to the admission committee. Awesome. Is there any master's in finance course which gives a blend of analytics as well? There are a lot of master's in finance programs. I'm not sure about courses, but master's in finance programs that do have analytics as part of their curriculum. If I'm not mistaken, I mentioned MIT Sloan since it's top of mind. You can take a look at that one, but you'll have to, what I recommend that you do is just look through the Master's in Finance program, and every single one of them has a curriculum segment in the application, in the website of the actual program. So take a look through the curriculum and see the type of courses that are available for that program. Analytics is a really important sort of hot topic in finance right now. So they would be remiss if they're not actually incorporating that into their curriculum to make sure that their graduates are going to be, welcome into finance organizations. So absolutely. My long-term goal is to develop affordable analytics-based credit risk management solution for smaller financial institutions or work for a similar role, which affordable analytics based on credit risk management. We would have to dive deeper into your goals here. I mean, this seems like a noble cause. I would say look at Yale SOM. They're very much interested in that. We can have a conversation and go deeper into this, but I would say, look at what institutions care about, so the impact that they're looking for their students to have. The more their impact is related to your goal, the better your fit is going to be as far as making that, cultural sort of thought process fit. So take a look into Yale SOM and see if that's a program that matches what you're looking for, and of course also the work experience that you've had. I have 3 years of programming background, but not in the financial domain. Is that going to be a setback? No. I think you have to explain again why finance is important to you. Why do you want to go in finance? So you should show some finance related experience. But your programming background is not going to be a setback in the financial domain. But of course, you'll have to rely a little bit on the qualitative presentation of your background to show them how your programming background is going to be related to your finance long-term or short-term goal. Thank you, Pandu. I'm preparing to apply to Oxford's Masters of Finance. Given the relaxed student visa starting next year, do you expect to see applicants getting more competitive? That is another great question. Yes, applications are really getting more competitive. One, we have the economy as it is, and we're still sort of in the midst of a pandemic, so we're not sure exactly where we're heading. So that's one component that always drives individuals to sort of go in academia and really prepare, get their skills, ready for whatever happens next in the world. Then with the relaxation of visas, obviously individuals that were, sort of concerned about that, there's an opportunity now. So there's, again, another opportunity for individuals to apply. And so the competitiveness, yes, is absolutely going to be increasing for sure. So it's really important, the qualitative component. Remember that. So which one shows higher value in my application? A letter of recommendation from a professor of my undergraduate university, or one from a previous colleague who I know from an internship? A colleague does not carry any weight. So I would recommend not including a colleague. The letters of recommendation that are strong are individuals that have supervised your work, who know what you're capable of, who have been able to give you constructive feedback, who have been able to teach you, and for them to be able to show to the institution that you have grown for however long they have known you. So in these two instances, your letter of recommendation from a professor is absolutely much more valued than a colleague. Does working on my own investment portfolio and derivatives trades count as work experience? It does. However, it doesn't carry a lot of weight. And that's because you're your own boss who's making the decisions, and it's not really like, if you're not learning through this process, it becomes a little bit challenging to qualify your experiences. So it counts as experience, but it's not as strong as if you had actual experience working for an organization. Will CFA level 2 and a good GMAT score compensate for average undergraduate GPA? It can help the undergraduate GPA. It doesn't replace it, which is, of course, not what you said, but just want to make sure that I make that clear. Your undergraduate experience is an important element, and it also depends on how many years of experience you have, or meaning how long ago was your undergraduate experience. That's going to carry weight. So having the CFA level 2 exam already cleared, and a really strong GMAT score, that's definitely going to help. You will obviously also need to really explain, please explain, not justify, your undergraduate GPA in an optional essay, and really talk about that experience, what happened in undergraduate. Again, avoid justifications, just explain. Can courses done on Coursera or other similar sites help in the application process? It can. It doesn't carry a lot of weight as a class that is graded do, or classes that are graded do, but it can help, especially if you're trying to gain exposure to a particular field that you haven't had access to. So it depends on where you are, in the world. But so they can help, excuse me, but they don't carry as much weight as, a course that you've been graded on does. How is COVID impacting admissions? There are a lot of deferrals from 2020 intake. They will take up seats in 2021, which is correct. Do you expect universities to increase intake in 2021? Universities, it really depends on how they are going to structure the coursework. But given that people have deferred, and that means, of course, seats are going to be more limited. Institutions that have capacity, as far as like, the professor to student ratio, is also, unless they're planning on hiring, which I'm not sure they are, there may be limitations on increasing seats. But that also means that, those seats that are available are going to be much more competitive to gain admission to those institutions. So really pay attention to what when you're sending the application and what you're including in your application, because already competitive field, the COVID and the pandemic and the environment and the economy have affected everything around us, and that means that there's an increase in applicants applying. So the competitiveness has been increased as well, and I think you don't want to. This is sort of my personal, experience where, don't submit quantity, submit quality, and really pay attention to quality work. An admission, just because you put your name in the hat, doesn't actually guarantee you getting admitted into a program. So really spend the time to articulate what you bring to the table, why the institution, why a master's in finance, why a master's in finance now. All of those are important questions that institutions expect you to have answers to. So spend time articulating specifically what you are, why you are applying to whichever institution you're targeting. Perfect. Does having a non-math background affect the application process for a finance program? Highly STEM-focused finance programs do have, a majority of the classroom is STEM background. So there's, math involved, or finance involved in there. So if you don't have a math background, it doesn't necessarily affect your application so long as you can show other elements in your profile. I'm not sure exactly what your experiences have been, so I'm not sure I can comment in a lot of detail. If you want to have a conversation one-on-one, I encourage you to reach out and have schedule a call and talk about your background, and I can help you sort of figure out a path forward and how to present yourselves to the admission committee. Awesome. Hopefully that helped. Thank you all of you for being here, for watching this webinar, and for asking such wonderful questions. I'm really looking forward to hearing from you. Please take a moment and reach out, click on that link to connect with me. I want to know your story, I want to know your goals, and I want to know in what way I can help you get to those goals. So thank you again, and we'll have more of these webinars hopefully soon. Good luck with all your applications. Bye-bye.